In this video, I show you how to make a very simple, quick, and efficient, good-looking, low-profile dungeon tile. And we're back with another video. This time I'm making a dungeon tile with laminate flooring or laminate tiles that you can pick up at kind of any Home Depot or hardware store. These are self-adhesive. They have adhesive on the back. It's pretty simple. You can just take a razor blade and just kind of slowly cut through them, and it makes sense to do like a couple passes, kind of like you're doing the foam core, and then after a couple passes they'll snap. Then you can flip them over, as you can see here, with the razor blade and cut the back. And I did all of these dungeon tiles in less than a day, really. It was surprisingly fast to do these, and the results were really, really nice. I've seen a couple techniques like this on YouTube, and I kind of pulled from different techniques and kind of made my own here. And you can see we're kind of trying to figure out the scale and the width, making sure that the scale and the width works for my practice ones. And once I figured out kind of the scale and the width, I began cutting. Luckily enough, with this one at least, the tiles were scored in a certain pattern, and so I just kind of took that pattern and it looked wide enough to me, and I didn't really need to measure or mark any of these. I just kind of cut along the pattern of the tile, and it made nice little hallways and entryways and kind of just rooms for the miniatures to kind of jump around in. Hoping to play some wargaming on these tiles and maybe even some kind of dungeon crawl classics with these tiles. And I found that I had 3 different sizes, unfortunately, after I cut the patterns out. And so I made little squares. I cut the squares off the end. I cut them in a very specific pattern so that they had a lot of different squares. And so those squares can kind of be used as connector pieces or smaller pieces to the dungeon. So all of the halls are exactly the same length, and all of the rooms are exactly the same length. You can see that I bought a big box of these tiles, or I had a big box lying around, but out of like 5 tiles I think I used in total, it gave me more than enough of what I'm going to need for this dungeon. And so I don't want them to skid around, and I want to kind of give them a sticky kind of surface. And so this is some backing that you can put on your shelf. It's just like a rubberized kind of corrugated rubber, and easy to cut, easy to work with. Takes PVA glue, no problem. So I cut out a bunch of these backings so that I can put them on the back of my tiles. And a lot of this is just a very repetitive process. It's not very difficult at all. It's one of the easiest things that you'll ever do in terms of making terrain, and it was relatively quick. I did notice that I could stack a couple of these, so I've got like 3 stacked here. I can stack them so that I can cut them a lot faster. It was a little bit harder to cut them, but it did make the time go by a little faster. Once you have everything cut out, everything cut, you can see that you could peel the backing off. And the backing that I had, these tiles were a little bit older, so it was sticky, but it wasn't sticky enough, I didn't feel. So I ended up adding PVA glue, but I don't even know if you need to add PVA glue if you buy new tiles. You just go out and buy the tiles. It's probably sticky enough to kind of just stick that backing onto that rubber backing. But I added some PVA just to give it a little bit of extra grip. Because these tiles were a little bit older and they felt like they were losing that tackiness a little bit. So that's why you see me putting PVA glue down on these. After that, it's just rinse, wash, and repeat. Just repeat the process for every tile that you cut out. And you just throw on some music on your AirPods and just listen to the tunes, and just keep going. I actually put some books on top of these to kind of let them dry, but it really, you could probably do this project in less than a day if you took the PVA glue out of the picture. Not very long at all. And I like how they're low profile, and you can see here that even though it wasn't tacky, it was still a little bit tacky. And the rubber didn't come to the edge. So I took some Mod Podge and I just covered the rest of that glue on the bottom there. And what that did is the Mod Podge ended up drying, and it takes away any tackiness that you're going to have left over. So you can use less of that rubber, and I probably use even too much. I could probably use a lot less of that rubber if I wanted to. The next ones I make, I'll probably use a lot less. But as you can see a time lapse here, I just kind of started using the Mod Podge to kind of get rid of that tackiness and start laying them out. And this might give you kind of an idea of how many tiles I actually made. I don't have the total count, but honestly, I think if you pick up like 5 or 6 of these tiles, that'll probably get you a decent sized dungeon. You don't even need to buy a box. If you can find a place that sells them separately. But these, again, I had them laying around. They were just kind of collecting dust, and I figured I'd just give it a try since I've seen this on YouTube. Or I've seen variations of this, and so I kind of created my own little version. You can see the big rooms, long rooms, and then the smaller hallways, and then there's the little kind of connector pieces, the square ones that I did. And there's actually a lot more than this. I couldn't fit them all on the table. I had to put them under the table, and I had to kick my cat out of the room, and it was a mess. I had these things all over the place. It really was a lot of tiles and very easy to do, as I said. And once you're done, here's kind of what they look like. I don't think you can get a better result for the time that I put in here. It was less than a day, and I had these kind of completed. So hopefully it inspires you to kind of make some dungeon tiles and buy some tile and try it out. Other than that, take care, and I'll see you guys next time.